Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein and I will be your presenter here for the next 20 minutes. Today we are going to be talking about transferring donations over to accounting. I'm going to be following some pages from one of our workbooks that we offer. It's specifically the Donations 103 workbook. And the pages are split. So it's going to be pages 2 through 10. And then we're also going to be looking at page 18 through 20. So if you have that Donations 103 workbook and you want to follow along, those are the page numbers. If you don't have one of our workbooks but you're interested in getting one, you can pull that up on our website. So if you go to www.churchwindows.com, up here across the top under Beginning, there's our Training Workbooks section. And if you click on that, these are all the workbooks that are available for you to purchase. Like I said, today we're going to be looking at the D103 workbook, and specifically pages 2 through 10 and then 18 through 20. Now keep in mind, as always, these webinars are recorded. I'll get it cleaned up and I'll get it up on the website by the end of the day today. So if you don't want to go with the workbook purchase, you can always re-watch this out at our website, churchwindows.com, in our support center. You can look up all of our past webinars and re-watch them there. Or you can pass it along to somebody who might find this information helpful. Send them out to the website, and if they weren't able to attend this webinar, they can always log in and watch it at their convenience. Josh is in the room with me today. He's here helping answer questions. So if you do find that a question comes up, feel free to expand the questions section on your GoToWebinar toolbar. Type that question in, and Josh will give you a typed response, or if you want, just wait till the end because I might actually cover your question. But if not, I can read the question aloud if I think it'll pertain to other people, and then I can get you an answer that way. Now, if your question's pretty specific, or if it's a little off topic from what we're discussing today with transferring to accounting, it'd be better if you just called us. Call our support line or send us an email to support@churchwindows.com. And we can give you more of a personalized answer that way for your specific question. Okay, but if it pertains to today, feel free to type it in and we'll go from there. All right, today we are working in version 21.18.4. That is our most current version. You can see that up here on the right. If you find you're on an older version than that, head out to our website again. Lots of good information out there. But on our website, you can download an update. But if you're on something older than 21, you'll need to get in contact with us and we'll be able to help get you up to current. It's always a good idea to stay on the most current version of our software. All right, let's get started. So today we are talking about transferring over to accounting. Okay, so if you own our accounting module, a really handy feature between the donations and the accounting module is the ability to transfer those donations that you've entered in here on the donation side over into accounting. It really allows easy access and speed for getting that income, those donations income, over in the accounting module. So you can then balance and get your reports out that you're looking to do. So the first thing that you have to do before you can get the transfers over to accounting from the donations module is you have to set up your accounting links. Okay, so you have to tell the program that when someone gives to my general fund account over here in donations, where do I want that money to go into the accounting module? What accounts on my chart of accounts do I want affected with money that comes into that specific giving account? And there's a place to set that up. So I'm going to go up here to Special Functions, and I'm going to click on Link to Accounting. Now, we're going to be working in the donations module, but keep in mind, this can also be done over on the accounting side. So if you have access to the accounting module, you can go in there and you can set up your account links there as well. But for today, we're going to just stick in donations. So again, up at the top, we're going to Special Functions. We're clicking on Link to Accounting. And as you can see, it opens up our Transfer Donations to Accounting window. Now in here you have 3 tabs. We're going to talk about each one, but you have the Transfer Donations tab, you have the Default Account Links tab, and you have the Posted Transfers tab. Okay, when you click that Link to Accounting button, it's going to open up your Default Accounting Links tab. Okay, so this is where you make those matches. Here on the left, all in blue, these are your giving accounts that have been set up and created in the donations module. So when you're going into that enter donations screen and you're putting in your offering, when someone is telling you, I want my money to go to general fund, or I want my money to go to missions, building flowers, etc., here are where those accounts are going to be listed. Okay, now with those accounts being listed, if you look off to the right, you have 3 more columns. You have your debit account column, you have your credit account column, and then you have a prepaid credit account column that is optional. Now, there's always going to be accounts available in here as long as you have your chart of accounts set up over in the accounting module. Okay, so before any transferring can be done, before this default accounting links can be set up, you need to make sure you have a chart of accounts set up over in the accounting module. Because when you go to pick what account needs to be debited and what account needs to be credited, those accounts are pulled from your chart of accounts, okay? Very straightforward. You have to have the information in for you to be able to select it, right? All right, so as you can see, our debit account column is listed here first. Your debit account is going to be an asset. So if I come in here and I hit the down arrow, I'm only going to see number 1s. Okay, those are my asset accounts that are being pulled from my chart of accounts, like I said. Okay, then over here you have credit account options. These are typically going to be number 4 accounts. As we scroll through this list, let me make it a little bit bigger. You can see that there are mostly 4 accounts, okay? These are your income accounts. You do also have the option to put money towards a liability account. Here's an example here of a crop walk or disaster relief recovery. And then you also have the option for an expense account. So I think I have a 5 in here. Here we go, youth trips expense. So you can credit a income account, a liability account, or an expense account. And I have some different scenarios of when you might want to use each of those that we'll touch on here in a minute. But then you also have this prepaid credit account option. This is optional, right? So you don't have to have anything in here. If you are a pledging church, this last column will come in really handy. Okay, this column allows you to have money come into enter donations for someone who is prepaying a pledge. Okay, so we can set it up so anytime you enter a prepayment, the program sees there's a prepaid pledge coming in, it's going to automatically put that money into this liability, this prepaid pledges account, as long as you have it filled in here. Okay. All right, so let's talk through the different examples just to be a little bit clearer if you're unsure about an income liability expense or a prepaid account. So bottom of page 3, first example is going to be linked to an asset and a 4 income account. So that would be this first line here, general fund. So this would be a typical donation that comes in and you want it to go to an income account over in the chart of accounts, okay? So the money will show as income to an asset on the balance sheet and to an income account on the treasurer's report. Pretty straightforward. Those regular donations that come in through your church, you're going to have them debit a 1 and credit a 4. Okay, next example, example B. We're at the top of page 4. It talks about linking to an asset and to a number 2 liability account as a pass-through. Okay, so this would be that crop walk account that we were talking about earlier, which is down here. An example of when you could consider using this is when money is considered in and out money. So it doesn't show up on the treasurer's report because it's not entered in as income. So this would be money that comes in and goes right back out like for a fundraiser type of thing. Also down here for number 2, we have a disaster relief recovery account. So it's not income to the church. You could go with a number 2 account as your credit. Example 3, which is when we use an expense account. So I'm going to scroll down here for our youth trips expense. This would be when donations are transferred into a number 5 expense account, the income reduces or washes out the expense. So the balance of the number 5 account is reduced on the treasurer's report. So again, this would be youth trip. This would be paying for a trip. You could have money that comes into your youth trips payment giving account, and that goes in and it credits your expense account. Okay? And then the last example, bottom of page 4, is talking about linked to an asset, an income account, and a number 2 prepaid credit account. So this is a great way, like I said, for prepaid pledges. So money is coming in, say, at the end of 2018, but you don't want it to show up as income until 2019. That money would sit in this liability account as a holding tank until the next year begins, and then you can transfer that money out of that number 2 liability account into your income account in the new year. Okay, so that's really helpful with those prepaid pledges that we talked about. All right, so that is your default account links tab. Now, keep in mind, once you have these all filled in, as you enter donations and go to post them, those posted donations are then going to show up here on this transfer donations tab. So I'm in the middle of page 5 now, if you're following along. Any gifts or any batches that have been posted through enter donations, like I said, are then going to show up here. And they're going to be organized by the date or the batch code that you use. So if I come in here under date occurred and I hit this little plus sign, it's going to give me a breakdown of each giving account that was used to make up that batch. And then it's also going to show me over here to the right what my debited and what my credited account is. Okay, these are automatically filled in based on what was put in on my default account links tab. Okay, so every time you enter a batch, you do not need to come in and set what the debit and what the credit account is. Now, with that in mind, it's going to fill it in automatically for you based on the default account links tab, but that doesn't mean that's where it has to go. Sometimes you might do some type of special offering or special type of fundraiser of some sort where you need to move where the account is going to get credited or even where it's going to be debited. This screen's very flexible. It allows you to go in and make a change. So you can simply come in here and let's say we have a roof fund that we needed to select. I don't think I have one set up, but if you had a roof fund you wanted to select for the building income for that week, you could easily select that credited account, and then that would allow money for just this batch to go into a different income account or a different credit account. And it only occurs for this batch, okay? Next week when you come back in here and put in more giving, again, it's going to default to whatever your default account link is for that giving account. Okay, nice thing is it allows you to change it just for this specific batch, and then you can post it and send it over to the accounting module. Okay. Now let's talk about these do not transfer check boxes over here on the right. This would be if you ever had a scenario where a batch or something didn't need to go over to accounting. So the example in the book of when you would have a donation that didn't need to go over to accounting would be if you realize or hear from your bank that you have a check that bounced. So for example, you would mark the check as a NSF in donations module, but you don't have to transfer that over to accounting. That would allow you to still have that original amount entered for the check as part of the batch, and then at a later date you could go in and do a correction just over in the accounting module to account for that bounce check. Okay, so that would be an example of when you wouldn't transfer over the reversal for the NSF check. Okay, there's a couple different scenarios you could have too where you don't want something to go over to accounting. If that's the case, you would simply check this box. Say, for example, I'm going to check it here on this one from the 20th. When I close out, come back in, we can see that now that batch is no longer visible. Okay, if you change your mind and realize, wait, I actually needed to send that over, up at the top you have a check mark that says show do not transfer items, and it's going to bring that batch back, allowing you to remove the check mark and then post it over to accounting if need be. Okay, now you can also print from here. Highlight the batch you're wanting to print and hit the print selected transfer button. That allows you to pick the columns you want, hit print, and then you're going to get a report as soon as it opens for us of what is waiting to go over to accounting. Okay, so keep in mind if you print a report from the first tab, close this, from the transfer donations tab before it goes over to accounting, oops, I didn't want to hit that. Before it goes over to accounting, you're going to get a nice report, and up at the top, see here how it says unposted. That's letting you know this information comes from before it was sent to accounting. Okay, now if you post it, everything you've posted is going to be on this third tab, the posted transfers tab. On that third tab, you can then highlight what you want to print, hit the print selected transfers button, pick your columns, hit print again, and now you see you have a transaction number showing you that that is a transaction number for the batch that has already gone over to the accounting module. Okay? All right, so that covers the transferring. Now, in the book, these last 3 pages that are part of this webinar, I really want to stress to you guys that the things I'm about to go over are not something that is part of a normal or regular practicing, a regular practice that you would follow in your church, okay? Most of the people we talk to, they don't use this, but I want you all to know about it because it is an option. Okay, so what we're going to talk about now, this is called transferring a donation batch using a backup and restore. Okay, so the example I just showed you is when someone is working at a machine or on a network that has donations and accounting on that same machine. Okay, now there are some instances where people don't have donations and accounting on the same machine. They are rare, but we still have customers who do that, okay? So this would be if you are entering donations on one machine and someone is doing accounting on another. This would be the process you would follow to move the data from donations over to accounting, okay? If you don't do that, feel free to sign out. We have covered what you needed for today's webinar. But again, if you have donations and accounting on 2 separate screens, these would be 2 options of how you can get the data moved, okay? One option is using backup and restore to move your donations data to another machine. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that. And again, I'm on the top of page, whoops, let me get to the right page here. Top of page 9 here. So after you enter your donations for that day, you need to make a backup so you can then take that data over to another machine to restore it so people can use that information and balance in the accounting, okay? It's a very simple process. You're going to come into administration and you're going to go to backup. And then you're going to decide where you want that data to get backed up to. If you're taking that data to another machine, putting it on some type of flash drive, something you can remove and carry with you and walk over to another machine is going to be your best option. Okay, so where it says backup data, you're going to hit the browse button and you're going to browse to the location you want it to go, whether it be a flash drive. Today's example, I'm just going to put it on the desktop. I'm going to say okay, and then I'm going to hit this begin backup button. The program's going to work and it's going to back up all of my data, and then it's going to tell me it's completed here in a minute. There we go. So now if you look back here on my desktop, you can see here is my backup. This is what needs to get sent over to that other computer and be restored so that donation data is available. Okay. Again, if this is something you're interested in doing, call us. We really want to walk you through it, okay? Again, once you're on that other machine and you're ready to restore the data, you go into administration and then you go to restore. You're going to browse to the location of that backup. Here it is right here. And you're going to say open. Now, when you get here, you only need to pick certain things, okay? You don't want to restore anything accounting related because that would wipe out the accounting that's on this new machine that we're working with. So to do that, we're going to expand our data section and we're going to uncheck accounting because we don't want to wipe out the accounting that's over there. We just want to bring over the donations information. Again, you're going to get a message saying we don't recommend restoring accounting separate from donations or vice versa because donations are transferred to accounting. This is not a typical process, but if this is something your church does, you just need to click OK through it and do the restore. Okay? So, other option, and I know we're right at 20 after, I'll hurry through this next one. The other option is instead of making a backup and doing a restore, we have an option that allows you to just export the batch, just the donations batch, and then that batch can get sent over to whomever is doing the accounting on their machine. Okay, you can even email it to someone. It allows you to do that too, the type of file that's created. So to export your batches, you do have to go up to the Transfer to Accounting button up at the top, and then you have this Export Transfers to File button, okay? You simply hit this button. You do get a warning message. It tells you this feature is intended for situations where accounting and donations are used on separate computers and separate locations, okay? So if this is definitely what you want, click OK through it. It's going to ask you to pick a location of where you want this export file to go, and you say OK. It tells you that it's been exported, gives you the location. All right, so now if I minimize my church windows, I see here is my transfer file of my batches. At this point, I would then send this over to whomever works in the accounting module, and they would be able to import this in their accounting module under the transfer donation screen. Okay? And that's all we're going to go over for those two specific procedures. Again, 99% of you just use the regular transfer feature that we talked about at the beginning. But if you do something separate, you have accounting and donation on separate machines, call us and we can help you with the process, okay?